Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media. We were decoding Trump tweets of March 16th and 17th, having a great time, running a little long, so we're picking up the second session on this, and I'll remind you that if you want to follow the tweets, just look at the description box below, and there is a link that'll take you right to them. Plus, I always leave some extra goodies in there for you. And if you notice, I do have a meme scroll going. I hope it doesn't distract you too much. If it does, then just turn us off and watch the memes, or vice versa. Okay.
Close your eyes.
Well, you can just put it down. I mean, some people like to see something on the screen, and I've been trying to, do that for you. It's a little extra work, but I'm happy to do it. We get such a great collection of memes, Thomas. Okay, let's get going.
Betsy, I want to say something about that meme, which was a carry-on about the border wall, because, this vote against Trump's emergency, that is the defining moment of the 2020 election. We now know who to vote for and who not to vote for. We know who are the crazy, literally murderers. These are complicit with murder. They're complicit with drug deaths. And 70,000 a year.
That refers to the tweet. I'd like to thank all of the great Republican senators who bravely voted for strong border security and the wall.
If they're MAGA, vote for them again. If they're rhinos who are non-MAGA, and if I don't care who they are, I don't care Rand Paul, I don't care what your excuse is. Rand Paul, you're wrong. You're oftentimes correct. In this one, you're wrong. You said this isn't the normal way for appropriation of funds.
It's an emergency.
Incorrect. The executive has 1,000 ways to spend money that aren't appropriations from the Congress. That is just, I can't believe you made that horrible mistake. But anyway, you voted against him. As far as I'm concerned, that's your death knell. You're gone. Anyone who voted against this wall, literally, I might as well just say you're an MS-13 gang member. You are complicit with rapes. 70,000. We now know that Trump's estimates of a third of the people are raped, the women. No. It's like now they've looked into it and they actually went inside and they ask. Over 95% of them are multiply raped. We have said this again and again and again. People are raped to death on that path to the southern border. And anyone who won't put up a wall so that then the people won't come to the border, and then they are supporting literally human organ harvesting,
yes,
slavery,
that's what
human
they
trafficking.
Yes, that's what they want. These senators, that we call them the Dirty Dozen, they wanted that.
I just want to point something out. That type of socialism that Ocasio is supporting, which makes her really the new Hitler. She is the new globalist, fascist, socialist party. And what she's promoting will kill so many people, and basically it would end all human life in the Western world, to rebuild every single house based upon her specifications, to stop all cars. Okay. This is stupid. Now let me go on. The European Union, in a number of countries, just voted that whether you like it or not, when you die, your organs are harvested. How do you like that, folks?
Well, if you look deeply, you will see that the Queen owns us all. We're literally cattle for the Queen. Very disturbing.
We must do primaries on these existing rhinos who are not MAGA and get them out.
Well, this is what we're saying. This was a rebuke of the American people, this Dirty Dozen. And believe me, there are more on the list of the rhinos, the globalist Republicans. They would have voted for it, but for some reason they didn't. We need to rebuke the Republican Party. It's time to walk away from the Republican Party. Don't feed the beast. If you want to give campaign donations, give it directly to your MAGA candidates. If you don't know who that is, then give it to DonaldJTrump.com. We have to stop feeding the Republican National Committee, which, I remind you, is chaired by Ronna Romney McDaniel. In the end, all this money is going to be continued to be funneled to these rhino globalist candidates. Okay, so let's get into the next tweet. It's truly incredible that shows like Saturday Night Live, not funny, no talent, can spend all of their time knocking the same person, me, over and over without so much of a mention of the other side, like an advertisement without consequences. Same with late night shows. Should the Federal Election Commission or the FCC look into this? There must be collusion with the Democrats and, of course, Russia. Such one-sided media coverage, most of it fake news. Hard to believe I won and am winning. approval rating 52% and 93% with Republicans. Sorry, MAGA.
That says it all, but we're going to go ahead and read a few things in between the lines. Really, what he's saying here is so correct, because everyone knows that has a brain and has ever studied such things as humor as a philosophy, knows that when you simply use ad hominem attacks, when you character assassinate, that's not funny. It's simply not funny. And if you're laughing, it's only because you have those exact characteristics in yourself, and you're laughing because there is no disparity between you and that which you're making fun of. So these late night hosts, all showing, and every time they speak about Trump, they're speaking about themselves. Remember that. And for Alex Baldwin really thinks he is the president of humor, the president of late night, the president of television. Why? Because the whole Baldwin family is sick in the head. And so, you look at these people and they're not funny. I tried watching it because I would appreciate some humor, but because humor, when it's really done, is wit. But this is not humor. This is ad hominems. These are personal character assassination attacks. Everyone knows that's the lowest form of humor. The only thing you can get lower than that is puns. And sorry, they have dipped down into puns. Matter of fact, many of their entire skits are nothing but a pun that's been taken to an unfunny extension. So it's not funny. They're not funny. And neither is Ocasio. And neither is the Democratic craziness going on. The Democrat Party craziness, the Demon Rat Party.
Well, I hope he's not just tweeting to tease. I want to see these tweets become action. Because, yes, we need to get the Federal Election Commission and the FCC looking into this. And while we're talking about the FCC, when the hell are they going to stop rolling out this 5G equipment?
Well, that's a very important thing, because otherwise, there's really no need to think that there's a future, not in the West, if you have 5G either on the ground or from satellites. But going back to his thing here, what he said is what we've said all along. And we said it's the only avenue, because Decency in Broadcasting Act doesn't stop anything. And then the Federal Communications Commission, they have no authority except to stop giant mergers which lead to monopoly in RICO, which they're now allowing Fox to be bought by Walt Disney, okay? That wraps up so that it's now 5 groups who own all the mainstream media, okay? That's pathetic. That means there's no free speech. And when we've pointed out who runs those, there are 6 groups right now, who runs those groups, look at their intent. Look where they invest their money. Look what they're doing, with the Rupert Murdoch, for instance. Genie Oil in Israel. Hello? We actually gave money through the Secretary of State so that Rupert Murdoch and Rothschild and other people just like him, big names in telecommunications, get the Golden Heights oil. That's how pathetic it is. Because why? Rupert Murdoch controls the news. He controls actually also the way that news travels. So once you can control that, you can control anything. So we've said from the beginning, what needs to happen is you can't use the federal government that way. You need to go after these people through the Treasury and go after them for monopoly, for RICO, antitrust, because we know they all use AVID and ISIS management, which means they all agree to tell lies, which means it is a monopoly. Right. It is a racketeering institution, and it's institutionalized.
And the Federal Election Commission should be on top of it, should never be occurring. And they also need to look at the Optech software that's running these electronic machines, like the Hart InterCivic machines. It's full of electronic corruption. What is the Federal Election Commission doing about it? When citizens can report on the issue, and we have agencies and government bureaucracies that sit and do nothing. They have to go.
Yes, because they should have noticed a long time ago that this was election fraud, because that they admitted 97 to 98% of all Trump news in the mainstream media, except for Fox News, which has now gone that direction too, was against Trump and was fake and was lies, and they're not retracting. So basically, this is a
you can be fake news and still give truthful news. It's just that you don't go all the way, and that's what my gripe is about Fox News. Why haven't they started reporting on the British invasion, the British espionage to take down Donald Trump? What are your eyes and your ears and your mouth clogged up, people at Fox News? Where are you?
The bankers who own the 6 major media corporations that then control all the subsidiaries, or most of the subsidiaries, are really British-owned banking families. So really the cost of every single time that the news spent all that time on Trump, that was for Hillary. And then look at the good time that they spent with Hillary. So basically all of that, the entire election reporting, was a campaign donation. And we pointed this out before. And this is the way to go after it, economically, through the U.S. Treasury and the Office of Intelligence and Analysis. And of course, then there's other offices below them that do this. So this is to hit them with a crime, but it doesn't matter. Look, Google's going down. Facebook's going down. Facebook has yet, as we pointed out, answered the charges they answered in Australia first, in the European Union second, and then throughout Britain and other countries specifically, where Google had to pay billion-dollar fines. Well, they're going to have to pay mega-billion-dollar fines in America. Google, as well as Facebook, will have to fold. But when you take a group like that and you fold, like with Standard Oil, and you do it through monopoly or antitrust, they break up into other companies that make the same amount of money through the same corruption. So we have to be very careful the next time that we basically use government funds to subsidize a utility which then becomes a weaponized tool against the people using it. And that's what's happened with the internet. We need to have our own intranet, just like China has theirs, Russia wants to have theirs, Turkey has theirs, and every country in the world bows down, every country that asks, that Google, Facebook, the social media bow down and give them what they want, and they completely curtail, surveil, infiltrate, and use subterfuge and sabotage and target the people in these social media systems so we can do it here in America. We have to clean up the system, and we have to do it through money.
Okay, next tweet. Report. Christopher Steele backed up his Democrat and crooked Hillary paid for fake and unverified dossier with information he got from, quote, send-in watchers, close quote, of low-rating CNN. This is the info that got us the witch hunt.
This is one of the biggest pieces of news to come out that made the conclave laugh for so long that it is unbelievable. I'll go to that.
Next time they should call us up. We write all kinds of material. They should call us up and have us write the dossier. We could do a really good job.
Yes, I'm going to go into that in just a second, because really, when these major media agencies, the mainstream media, insults us with lies, they can't count. And they are basically killing themselves. We've already seen this in the news agencies that are going down, having to fire so many people, in basic news agencies who just, went bankrupt. And we're going to see this now with the ones that are on the television, cable, the internet. We're going to see a lot more of this. Because why? The people who are out there who have a brain, and that's 93% of the Republicans who support Trump, are actually getting the news somewhere, aren't they? And they get the truth because they can't get it from the mainstream media, and it isn't coming from Fox anymore. So where do they get it? They already have their news agencies they trust. And so they can't stop them. And what we're saying is, it is a monopoly, it is RICO, it is absolutely illegal what they're doing, because they're using the same script on every single mainstream media. So folks, those of you who haven't turned it off, if you're like the people who say, well, I read Breitbart because I know some of the articles are evil, but some of the articles are good, it's the only place to go, in some cases, for some people. You say, okay, well, make sure you learn discernment, because if you don't, the lies that are being perpetrated about Russia are all coming from the Atlantic Council that is funded by George Soros, and by basically the evil people in NATO who didn't pay their bill and are starting their own standing army. And that would be Angelina Merkelovich, who is the daughter of Putin, that would be his wife, because he had sex with her and they had a baby called Nord Stream 1 and 2, which they lied about because they weren't married. And so even though Angela Merkel, it's come out that she lied and she sold the whole European Union down the tube so that Germany could get the money from the oil coming in from Nord Stream 1, nothing happened because they control free speech there. So don't forget that. Now, going on with the next one. what was really going on with CNN's I Report, which is the name of this place where anybody can post anything, it can be garbage, which is very much like Before It's News. That's what they accused Trump of using to get his information from. And now we find that Hillary got her information for the Russian dossier from the CNN I Report, which they say none of that is verified. As a matter of fact, it's just a place to go to bitch. It's a place to go to put up what you would put up at Onion. It's a place to go to put up crazy stuff. Now that means, and this is pathetic, this is so pathetic that we laughed and laughed and laughed about this because we don't know actually now how many people contributed to that dossier. Because we don't know how many articles Christopher Steele stole from CNN I Report because it was taken down. So we have yet to go back and to find those articles to see what it is that he absolutely stole. Why was it taken down, CNN? Okay, so we know that Comey gave his part of the dossier. We know that 2 jump drives were given through Bruce Orr to Christopher Steele from Nellie Orr and from Glenn Simpson. We know that Glenn Simpson's wife says he wrote this stuff back in 2000. His wife said she participated in writing it, so I got to put Mary McCoby in there too. And so we also know that Cody Shearer wrote part of it, and that Sidney Blumenthal got his part in, and that Hillary told Sidney what she wanted in it, and that's what Cody wrote. So we have to include Hillary, and of course we have to include Podesta, because anything in Hillary's mind came from the evil Podesta, who also was, of course, brainwashed by Soros. So you'd almost have to say, sorry, that was Soros. Now, I didn't get into all the people in Britain. That's a list of a dozen people who all contributed to Christopher Steele's pathetic little Russian dossier. And I didn't mention Alexander Chalupa or Dmitry Alperovich or Sergei Milian or any of the FBI spies, Felix Sater. Okay, all of them contributed to this stupid dossier.
No, all of them contributed to treason and espionage because they were trying to overthrow Donald Trump.
Correct.
And they all need to go down. And citizens, you need to get your vests on and you need to start the protests and make sure that Barr knows that you know the whole thing. Now remember, our researchers spent 18 years collecting this information. And there's a lot of information, indictable evidence, and we have it in drawers and files. And as each one of these criminals comes up and rears his ugly head, we're going to slam them down with the information that we have, just like we did with Allison Saunders, just like we're doing with Joseph Mifsud. Look, folks, it's time to clean the swamp. You want to read the next one?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so it was indeed just proven in court papers, quote, last in his class, close quote, Annapolis, John McCain, that sent the fake dossier to the FBI and media hoping to have it printed before the election. He and the Dems working together failed as usual. Even the fake news refused this garbage. Hey, I got news for you, Meghan McCain. Your daddy is a big fat loser and an American traitor, and you're the daughter.
He was a traitor before he went into the Senate.
Yes.
They called him the Songbird. And the Hanoi Hilton, he was treated royally. And then they come back and they try to tell you all this garbage, but talk to anybody who was there with him. They called him the Songbird. He actually was responsible for the death of people because he told the enemy what they needed to know. So, but we said it first, okay? We said it right here first. And we said it the moment that we heard.
We beat it up for many, many months. Let's go to the next one.
No, I want to say this. I got to pat ourselves on the back. The conclave is like choking over there unless I get this out. We are the first people to name David Kramer, the head of the McCain Institute, who McCain said he had nothing to do with, who then we got the 2 letters from the Russians.
Your daddy is a traitor, man.
Where he demanded that the Russians give him $1 million and $2 million. Keselek, the very man that I better back off from this. This pisses me off so bad.
Go for it. Take it down.
McCain tried to accuse Sessions of having associations with Keselek. No, he demanded of Keselek, the Russian ambassador.
He had a letter asking the Russians to give him campaign donations.
We showed the letters twice. $1 million and $2 million. He demanded that the Russians support his election campaign when he ran. John McCain is not only a songbird, he was seen with Oleg Deripaska, the Russian involved in the Russian election meddling, the Russian, the one we now know paid Christopher Steele, the one we now know the FBI went to and said, please help us get Trump. And then he laughed and said, I'm not going after Trump. They ain't no dirt on Trump. And then he said, but you can help me. I want to get Bill Browder and I'm willing to pay tens of millions of dollars to Dianne Feinstein's ex-Senate intelligence staffer, Daniel Jones, and his new group. He had two groups below the group called, so don't get confused, Pincorder Group had two other groups below it. And now you see this in the news that they received money from George Soros and from people in Hollywood, $50 million to continue the work of Fusion GPS when Christopher Steele was knocked out of the seat, no longer paid by the FBI, no longer allowed to talk about it. Because why? Because of the following. Because BuzzFeed printed the whole dadgum stupid dossier. And as I've told you millions of times, and if I haven't, please repeat it in your head. Read the dossier. No one who reads it with a 5th grade education could believe it. That's why I laugh, and we are laughing so hard we couldn't believe it. The first sentence in that dossier says...
This is no laughing matter. John McCain is a traitor, was a traitor to the United States of America. He tried to take down Donald Trump, and he tried to destroy America.
I'm going to tell you how it goes, okay? And this is unbelievable. McCain, when he was caught with this, he just yelled at the news people asking questions that he wasn't going to answer any more questions about the McCain Institute. Well, the McCain Institute is where it all started. And his agent, David Kramer, was over in the Senate Intelligence Committee working from the beginning when he heard that Andrew Weissman, and who was on the special counsel, Mueller's special counsel, and Zainab Ahmad received through Victoria Nuland in the State Department, gave to the Department of Justice a copy of the fake stuff that Steele took initially from CNN report. Now, what idiot wouldn't have checked that? The FBI didn't check anything because they were helping write it. So, what we're talking about is BuzzFeed got a copy, and we said this first. We know that at the very end of it, not in March of 2016, and now finally, everyone is reporting what we told them from the beginning. This started in 2015, and we have the proof. And the planning of the Russian smokescreen against Trump from 2015. They feared Trump a lot sooner than anybody ever imagined, okay? Because he was that one wild card that was described in their intelligence community report that they were afraid of. So, it was never supposed to be released, but stupid David Kramer, at the end, when John McCain had sent him publicly to get a copy directly from Christopher Steele. Now, mind you, it's $50,000 for each installment. That's 17 installments. So John McCain paid $50,000 times 17 to Christopher Steele, who wasn't getting paid. He was being ripped off by Fusion GPS. Because Stephen Halper got $1.4 million to be his handler, okay? So Christopher Steele was mad, so he was selling each copy for $50,000. We know this, and we know, as we told you and no one else did, that from March of 2016, Comey was paying him $50,000 for every installment and sharing it with everybody. Everybody knew this. Well, John McCain got really upset because in the beginning, in 2015, when it was told to McCain, and remember, McCain he was a Bushite. McCain, and remember that Hillary is a Bushite. Don't forget that the Clintons are Bushes, okay? There's only one party when it comes to the rogue CIA, and that's the ones who have the power of the White House. So John McCain, when he first heard of this in 2015, started saying, give me a copy. How come I don't get a copy? I want this in writing. I want this to be revealed. I want the FBI to reveal this. No. He kept disagreeing with Comey's 28 crimes of treason. So Comey kept telling McCain, no, I'm working through the Senate Intelligence Committee with Burr and with Warner and with Feinstein and with Daniel and with Wolf and with Alvy Watkins. Now, I got it all taken care of. I got Adam Schiff down working with Andre Carson and the other corrupt people in the Congress for the Senate. The Gang of Eight, I got them all taken care of. We have false reports going to all of them. We don't allow any two of them to be in a room for a report, so we tell each one of the Gang of Eight something different. So Comey was telling McCain this from the beginning. And McCain said, no, I want every Russian agent called in on this. Comey said, I've called in every Russian asset I have. Carter Page, Felix Sater, Sergei Milian, all of them. And McCain said, it's not enough. And so as it slowly came out from July 31st on, when Hillary started her 7 emails saying that all 17 intelligence communities say that Donald Trump was the person working with Putin to attack the Democratic National Committee's server and to release it to WikiLeaks so that Hillary would go down. All a lie. They started that in 2015.
Okay, can we move on to the next tweet?
No, I'm not done.
Well, you're never going to be done.
John McCain's guy, Kramer,
yes,
is the person who took it to BuzzFeed. We told everyone this from the beginning.
Yes, you did.
And we told them that it was a mistake that BuzzFeed printed it. They were told by John McCain, they were told by Kramer, don't print it. They were told by McCain to print it.
We keep telling people what's going on, nothing gets done. So we're telling you, the British came over here to overthrow Trump. They used Alison Saunders, Richard Dearlove, Jeffrey Patty, the Queen's Privy Council. When are you people of fake Fox News going to stand up and report it?
And Oleg Deripaska worked with the Brits because the Brits didn't like Bill Browder, who had become a Brit. And they didn't like all these Russian oligarchs who become Brits because they're challenging the Queen's control of the city of London.
Because the Queen still controls America, and she fleeces us and taxes us. And what we're really trying to say to you guys, wake up. We have to win the American Revolutionary War.
The last thing on McCain, as soon as he got this report, the day he got the report, after he'd already told people, he sent Kramer to get a copy because he was so tired of it not being released. He had a press release at the Capitol, and he literally had the copy in his hand, and he said that he's already delivered a copy to the FBI. The FBI wrote major parts of it, and he knew it, but he had to tell the whole world that he, as a Republican, stood against Trump because Trump has Russian ties. The guy who demanded the Russians pay for his donate millions to his election, John McCain, the man who gave it to BuzzFeed and was an idiot and told them to print it, which caused the whole confusion. Had it never been printed, none of this would have ever happened. We would have never known. That was all John McCain's mistakes. So John McCain is number one guilty person, and I could go on and on and on.
Yes. So let's get into Judge Jeanine Pirro, who works at fake Fox News. The radical left Democrats, working closely with their beloved partner, the fake news media, is using every trick in the books to silence a majority of our country. They have all-out campaigns against Fox News hosts who are doing well. I'm not going to... There are other two. You want to read the other two?
No, that's good. We'll start there. Mm-hmm. Radical left, I like that new name. I like a name that people came up with for the demon rats, and that's leftards. They are so far left now that they're going to take over the only conservative, partially conservative station there is. Then folks, just turn it all off. Now let me tell you something. Fox News beats all the ratings, and Trump is pointing that out here, okay?
Fox News is fake news.
Multiply their ratings times 10.
That's fine, but they don't go far enough, and they keep you in a limited hangout. It's a controlled opposition.
So imagine if we had a real, truthful conservative station.
Oh, my gosh, we would have already won the war and be ready to bring in thorium and new energy, and we'd get rid of the Federal Reserve, and so many great things would happen. But all news, all of this corporate news is an enemy of the people.
No one would watch the news if we had a true news station. Like, we watched Bill Riley because there was nothing else to watch at that time period, and you want to have a little contact with the outside world when you're, doing your work all day.
And he kept us for years in a spin zone, going nowhere.
Absolutely nowhere.
Now about Judge Jeanine.
Okay, Judge Jeanine. Okay, what is going on here? This is just these are the earmarks of the end of Fox News and the free speech in Fox News conservative station, and what they don't understand is those ratings are fake. When they try to look like Mad Cow, Rachel Mad Cow is tying with Fox News, that's a lie. Who do you think controls those statistics?
Yeah.
You must be out of your mind to, for 1 second, believe that they're getting half of that watching them, maybe a fourth, and go ahead and multiply Fox times probably 4 or 5, maybe 10, just like with the election. How many points off were they with Hillary? On election night, they were 70 points off. That's what they were saying. Okay? And that's even when they saw that she was being trounced. Okay? So 70 points off, those were all lies. I say any poll you see, I don't care where it comes from. If it's Trump, whatever they say, 52% approval rate, add 10 to 15%. Now, they're losing their audience. We get to see it with the newspapers. We've already seen it with these fake news agencies. We've seen it with some of the stations, and we've seen it with CNN, who their ratings don't beat Nickelodeon, okay? Nickelodeon's being watched by children who can't speak yet. Okay, so I guess if you're watching CNN, you can't understand speech.
Continuing the tweets. Must stay strong and fight back with vigor. Stop working so hard on being politically correct, which will only bring you down, and continue to fight for our country. The losers all want what you have. Don't give it to them. Be strong and prosper. Be weak and die. Stay true to the people that got you there. Keep fighting for Tucker and fight hard for Judge Jeanine. Your competitors are jealous. They all want what you've got. Number one, don't hand it to them on a silver platter. They can't beat you. You can only beat yourselves. Sounds like Trump was giving these fake Fox News people a pep talk.
He is, because he saw Lou Dobbs trashing the other day. Okay, who told Lou Dobbs to trash Trump?
Probably
his handlers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're going to see. Judge Jeanine, she didn't say jack that was bad about Ilhan Omar, who is a criminal. That means everything she did to get into the Congress was a lie and was a cheat. And she married her brother to get into the country, so she's an illegal alien who needs to be deported. She doesn't even have, because she's broken so many laws, there is no way she can stay. And yet, when she then trashed other religions, when she trashed Zionists and Israelis, and when she trashed Americans because she said that we take an allegiance to Israel, yeah, I think Congress does. That's true. Yeah, and guess what? We don't take an allegiance to Sharia law, which you're there with your rag on your head, your jihad, basically stating that Sharia is superior to you than the U.S. Constitution. So why are you there? And then when you do this, then Pelosi changes the wording and says, you don't understand our language. And she changes the wording of the bill, which then says, you're going to be patted on the back. We're going to seek to the lowest common denominator so that no one can then say anything bad about you, saying bad things about other people. Think of that. The political correctness of that is an oxymoron. It can't actually exist. You've dipped to the lowest common denominator and said that's your highest value. No, it can't be possible. We cannot be listening to Ilhan Omar and go forward. She is still caught in a religion that is still in the Dark Ages or perhaps the Middle Ages, certainly not anything beyond the Renaissance, because she doesn't have any rights as a woman. And she's from a Somali group in Minnesota that will allow her no rights when she's there. So then she takes her rights and bends them in the Congress and then starts literally using unethical speech in the Congress, and she is not sanctioned?
It's called Sharia creep. They obviously couldn't have a guy with a beard and a turban or whatever they wear elected, so they got their female elected. But they're speaking through her. The words you hear her say are coming from the Brotherhood.
Absolutely. And they're working so hard. And mainstream media is so pathetic that really, how about the people who think Pelosi's a hero? Okay, so people, if you have anything left of your true ego in there, I'm going to just ask you this question. What has Pelosi done so far? She's failed in everything. She failed on the border. She failed on the closure. She failed on getting the junior members in. She failed on trying to control them. The only thing she didn't fail on was getting elected, and that's because nobody else wanted the job. Remember that. Nobody else but one person who wasn't qualified wanted that job. Because why? They already saw what was happening. Why do you think we saw an exodus from the Congress and the Senate like never before in American history? Because all the really creepy, horribly guilty people got out. The ones who are left are those who can't get out because they're so vested, they're so ensconced in the Washington District of Crime type of mentality, the unlawfulness that was brought by Obama and Hillary. They're so ensconced they can't get out. They're like a Manafort. Manafort couldn't cover his trails once they decided to go after him, but he'd covered his trails since 2004. Those crimes, some of them go back to 2004. He covered his trail all that time until they decided to focus fake justice on him, because he didn't get any justice, and the Podesta should have got the same thing he got. And Michael Cohen should have gone to jail from the beginning, and just what was on Huma's laptop should have put her in jail. And what Hillary did, I'm sorry, there's no need to question her. We saw what she did. There's no questioning necessary. This was espionage. This was the worst security violations in American history. We don't need to question her. She doesn't need to have intent. Nobody who's ever been court-martialed for what she did ever was allowed intent. That's fake justice. So what we're seeing now, the fake news is being backed up by fake justice, and the fake news is even going to close down the one last portal of a little bit of free speech we have, Fox News. And we're seeing the internet. It was demonetized. We've seen hundreds of citizen journalists go down. And we're seeing the Atlantic Council come in with their programs in all social media. And you're seeing people being censored left and right, even the president, everyone. But the good news is, it's so obvious it's not going to last. All of these news agencies, remember, Washington Post and New York Times would be dead without Fusion and Capital from globalists. Many of these companies, news agencies, will die without massive fusion and capital. And if they aren't getting the numbers they need, and if it isn't any return on their investment, they're simply going to close down. As Trump says, after 6 years, the next 6 years when he's no longer president, because he'll get the next term, they'll all die after that because the only thing they're reporting on is him, and it's all fake news. So it's literally 97, 98% fake news on him.
Watching propaganda, corporate media, including Fox News, is really you're aiding and abetting the enemy. They are the enemy. So we have to all stop watching it. Now, thanks very much. We had 2 videos here of Trump tweets, and I'll have them all packaged up for folks. And we'd like to say goodbye and hope you have a very nice week. And we'll see you at the next time. You have any closing words? People like it when we close our audios.
I need to say one more thing. The fake news that no new wall has been built is because this is how they classify it. And just read the article to the bottom and you'll see it's totally fake news. If he rips out the old and puts in the new, that's not new. If he reinforced, which he did, over 600 miles with new fencing, that's not a wall.
Look, just
that's
stop listening and reading fake news.
The only new that they're considering is the new wall that he has now designed going in a place where there was no wall. Well, guess what? There was no wall there because that wasn't a major crossing point. He's going after all the major crossing points, and we already see in San Diego, what do they say? 97 to 98, 99% stopping the invasion in San Diego, and the numbers are down that much. That's what it's going to be when the whole wall is completed, but there's entire sections that there will be no wall.
It sounds like you want to do another audio.
No.
And it doesn't sound like we want to close.
I just think it's insulting. Because they say he's built no new walls, and you get Ann Coulter saying, give me the GPS of where a new wall went in.
Ann Coulter, really?
What is the wall? You mean the barrier? Or do you mean a fence? Or what do you mean? You mean the cement wall? What do you mean? This is nothing more than legal trickery and fake news and basically fake justice. Because if you believe Breitbart, who really they ran these articles, okay? And until you read the last paragraph, where it literally defines what new wall means, the entire thing is a smear on Trump. So folks, don't believe much of what you hear out there unless you have vetted your source, because it is dipped to the lowest common denominator, but it's okay. In 6 years, he will extinguish all these attacks on free speech.
Okay, so are we saying goodbye now?
Over 6 years.
Are we saying goodbye now?
Over the 6-year period. Because of Monopoly, RICO, and all these things. Well, I just want to say that there's so much going on, people, Betsy. How can I stop talking?
He will stay in the weeds forever. So I'm saying goodbye, and we'll see you next time.
Say goodbye, Betsy.
Goodbye, Betsy.